My beloved child, slow down for a moment and listen carefully. Do not rush past this moment. Do not brush it aside as just another voice among many voices. There is a reason your eyes stopped here. There is a reason your attention lingered when it could have moved on. And there is a reason something inside you feels compelled to stay a little longer, even if you cannot fully explain why. I know you have many things pulling at your mind. I know there are responsibilities waiting for you, concerns weighing on your heart, and questions that seem to follow you wherever you go. Yet out of all the moments in your day, you are here now. Out of all the paths your attention could have taken, it arrived here. And I want you to know something before anything else. This is not random. This is not meaningless. This is not an accident hidden inside an ordinary day. I have seen every step that brought you here. I have watched every silent struggle that shaped this moment. I have heard every prayer you whispered when no one else was listening. Even the prayers you barely had the strength to speak. Even the prayers that dissolved into tears before words could form. I heard them all. And because I heard them, I am speaking to you now. You may wonder why this moment feels different. You may wonder why these words seem to reach beyond your thoughts and touch something deeper within you. The reason is simple, my child. I know you. I know the hidden places of your heart. I know the questions you carry that you rarely share with anyone. I know the weariness that settles upon you when the day grows quiet. I know the battles you fight behind a smile. I know the moments when you look around and wonder if anyone truly understands what you have been carrying. And because I know you, I also know exactly when to reach for you. Timing matters. There are moments when a heart is too distracted to listen. There are moments when pain speaks louder than hope. There are moments when fear fills every empty space. But there are also moments like this. Moments when heaven gently interrupts the noise. Moments when I draw near and ask you to pause long enough to hear my voice. My child, you are not here because of coincidence. You are here because I have not stopped pursuing you. Long before this day arrived, I knew this conversation would happen. Long before you felt tired, confused, discouraged, or uncertain, I knew there would come a moment when you needed reassurance. A moment when you needed to be reminded that your story is still unfolding. A moment when you needed to know that I have not forgotten you. Sometimes you ask why certain doors closed. Sometimes you ask why certain plans changed. Sometimes you wonder why life has taken turns you never expected. You see the pieces, but you cannot always see the pattern. You see the delay, but you cannot always see the purpose. You see the waiting, but you cannot always see what is being prepared behind the scenes. Yet I see all of it. I see the full picture. I see where you have been. I see where you are. And I see where I am leading you. That is why I brought you to this moment. Not to condemn you, not to shame you, not to remind you of every weakness and failure. I brought you here because there is something your heart needs to remember. You are seen. You are known. You are loved more deeply than you realize. There have been times when you felt overlooked, times when you felt invisible, times when you questioned whether your prayers mattered. But my child, if only you could see how closely I have been walking beside you, if only you could see how many times I protected you from things you never even knew were there. If only you could see how many times my hand guided you when you thought you were walking alone. Nothing about your life has escaped my attention. Not a single tear, not a single fear, not a single restless night. I have been present through all of it. And now I am asking you to stay with me for a little while longer. Let your heart become still. Let your soul breathe again. Let the noise fade into the background, because this moment carries a purpose. There is a reason for this appointment. There is a reason these words have found you now instead of yesterday, and a reason they did not wait until tomorrow. Heaven is precise, my child. Love is intentional. And I do not arrive late. I come at the moment your heart needs me most. So do not dismiss this as chance. Do not tell yourself it means nothing. Do not convince yourself that you simply stumbled into these words. You are here for a reason. You are here because I wanted your attention. You are here because there is something I need you to hear. And before this conversation continues, before the answers begin to unfold, before the hidden burden you have carried is brought into the light, I want you to remember this truth deep within your heart. You are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. You are not alone. And this moment was never an accident. My child, now that your heart has become a little quieter, I want you to stop pretending for a moment. You do not have to be strong right now. You do not have to hold everything together. You do not have to convince yourself that you are fine when deep inside you know how tired you have become. I see the exhaustion you rarely talk about. I see the weight you carry behind your smile. I see the silent struggle that follows you from one day into the next. Many people around you see the version of you that keeps moving. They see the responsibilities you handle. They see the conversations you manage. They see the strength you display. But they do not always see the cost. They do not always see what happens when the room becomes quiet, and there is no one left to impress, no one left to reassure, no one left to protect from your pain. That is where I see you most clearly. I see the emotional fatigue that has settled over your heart. I see how long you have been carrying burdens you never intended to carry for so long. Some of those burdens were created by disappointment. Some were created by loss. Some came from words spoken over you that you never forgot. Some came from expectations that became heavier with every passing year. And some came from wounds that never fully healed, even though you tried your best to move forward. My child, there have been days when you felt tired before the day even began. Days when your body woke up, but your heart still felt weary. Days when you completed every task expected of you, yet inside you felt empty. You kept showing up, you kept trying, you kept pushing forward, but the effort required more and more from you each time. You have spent so much energy holding yourself together that you hardly noticed how exhausted your soul was becoming. I know about the thoughts that return when everything grows quiet. I know about the questions that repeat themselves late at night. The questions you rarely say aloud. Questions about whether things will ever change. Questions about whether you missed an opportunity. Questions about whether you made mistakes that can never be undone. Questions about why certain chapters of your life unfolded the way they did. You have carried these thoughts for so long that they have started to feel normal. Yet they continue to drain your spirit little by little. I see the pressure you place upon yourself, the pressure to do more, the pressure to be better, the pressure to fix everything that feels broken. You tell yourself that if you try harder, maybe the ache will disappear. If you stay busy enough, maybe the sadness will stay quiet. If you remain strong enough, maybe no one will notice how much you are struggling. But my child, carrying pain in silence does not make it lighter. Hiding your weariness does not make it disappear, and pretending that everything is fine does not heal what hurts beneath the surface. I know there are memories that still follow you, moments you wish had unfolded differently, conversations you replay in your mind, decisions you wish you could revisit. There are disappointments you never fully released, because part of you kept hoping they would somehow rewrite themselves. There are hurts you learned to live with because you did not know what else to do, and over time, all of it settled quietly upon your shoulders. Not enough to stop you completely, but enough to make every step feel heavier than it should. You have been carrying hidden pain for so long that sometimes you forget what peace feels like. You have been surviving so long that resting feels unfamiliar. You have been enduring so much that you rarely stop to acknowledge how much you have actually been through. But I know the battles you never posted about. I know the tears that never reached anyone else's eyes. I know the fears you buried beneath responsibility. I know the loneliness that sometimes appears even when you are surrounded by people. I know the exhaustion that comes from always being the one who keeps going. And my child, before anything changes, before any answers come, before any burden is lifted, I need you to understand this simple truth. You are not weak because you are tired. You are not failing because you feel overwhelmed. You are not broken because you have hidden pain. You are a beloved soul who has been carrying more than most people realize, and I have seen every step of that journey. My child, there is something else I want you to see. The exhaustion you have been carrying did not begin with your circumstances alone. It did not begin only with the responsibilities, the disappointments, or the difficult seasons you have walked through. Beneath all of those things, another burden quietly took root, a burden that cannot be touched with human hands, yet it weighs heavily upon the heart. It is the burden of believing things about yourself that were never true. Over time, Certain thoughts began visiting your mind so often that they started to sound like facts. They arrived quietly. They did not announce themselves as lies. They came disguised as conclusions, disguised as wisdom, disguised as reality. And little by little, you began to believe them. Perhaps you started believing that you were not enough, not strong enough, not talented enough, not worthy enough. No matter how much effort you gave, there always seemed to be another standard you could not reach, another expectation you could not satisfy, another reason to doubt yourself, and because of that, you began measuring your value by your performance instead of by the love that created you. My child, I have watched you carry this false belief for longer than you realize. Every mistake seemed to confirm it. Every disappointment seemed to strengthen it. Every closed door seemed to whisper the same message. You are not enough. Yet those words never came from me. They never reflected my heart toward you. They were simply fears that grew louder because you listened to them more often than you listened to truth. Then there was another lie, a quieter one, a deeper one, the belief that you had somehow been forgotten, not forgotten by people alone, but forgotten by heaven, forgotten in your waiting, forgotten in your prayers, forgotten in your struggles. There were moments when you looked around and saw others moving forward while you remained in uncertainty. Moments when you asked for direction and heard only silence. Moments when you prayed with all your heart and nothing seemed to change. Slowly, a question began to grow inside you. What if nobody sees me anymore? What if I am facing all of this alone? My child, that question has caused more pain than you realize, because when a person starts believing they are forgotten, they begin carrying burdens they were never meant to carry. They stop expecting hope. They stop believing good things can happen. They stop trusting their own worth. They begin surviving instead of living. They begin protecting themselves from disappointment by expecting less from life. And all the while, they grow weary beneath a burden built upon something that was never true. I also know about the fear that follows you. Not always the loud kind, not always the obvious kind. Sometimes it appears as hesitation. Sometimes it appears as overthinking. Sometimes it appears as endless second-guessing. You wonder if you are making the right choice. You wonder if you are capable. You wonder if you will fail again. You wonder if your future can really be different from your past. These fears seem small when viewed one at a time, but together they create a fog that makes it difficult to see clearly. They make you doubt your own steps. They make you question your own value. They make you forget how deeply loved you truly are. My child, self-doubt has been speaking to you for a long time. It has convinced you that your weaknesses define you. It has convinced you that your failures are your identity. It has convinced you that your mistakes tell the whole story. Yet none of those things are true. Your failures are not your identity. Your fears are not your identity. Your disappointments are not your identity. But when these false beliefs remain unchallenged, they begin directing the way you see everything. They influence your relationships. They influence your decisions. They influence your prayers. They influence the way you look at your future. And eventually they begin influencing the way you think I see you. That is the deepest wound of all. Because the greatest pain is not simply believing something false about yourself. The greatest pain is believing something false about my heart toward you. Believing that I have abandoned you. Believing that I am disappointed in you beyond repair. Believing that my love has limits. Believing that my patience has run out. Believing that you must somehow earn what has always been given freely. My beloved child, these thoughts may have lived in your mind for a long time, but they were never the truth. They were only shadows standing in places where truth had not yet fully entered. And although you may not see it yet, the very fact that you are listening now means those shadows are beginning to lose their hold. My beloved child, now I want you to see something that may surprise you. For so long, you have been looking at yourself through the lens of your fears, your disappointments, and your failures. You have measured yourself by what went wrong. You have measured yourself by prayers that seemed unanswered, by opportunities that slipped away, by weaknesses you could not overcome as quickly as you hoped. You have looked at the unfinished parts of your story and assumed they revealed your true condition. But what if the way you see yourself is not the way I see you at all? What if the picture you carry of yourself has been incomplete? My child, while you have been focusing on what is missing, I have been watching what is growing. While you have been counting your setbacks, I have been counting your victories that no one else noticed. While you have been grieving the things you lost, I have been nurturing strengths inside you that could not have been developed any other way. You see weakness. I see endurance. You see delay. I see preparation. You see wounds. I see wisdom. You see uncertainty. I see a heart that has continued moving forward, even when it did not understand the road ahead. There were days when you thought you were falling apart, but I saw courage. There were nights when you believed you were failing, but I saw faith refusing to disappear. There were moments when you felt completely exhausted, but I saw a child who kept standing when many would have given up. You call it survival. I call it strength. You call it weakness because it did not look impressive. I call it perseverance because you continued walking through difficult seasons without knowing how the story would end. My child, you have overlooked so much growth because it happened quietly. You expected transformation to arrive with applause, with certainty, with dramatic change. But many of the greatest things I do happen beneath the surface. Just as roots grow unseen beneath the soil before a tree rises toward the sky, I have been doing work within you that others cannot yet see. Even you have struggled to see it, yet it is there. Every time you chose kindness when bitterness would have been easier, something grew. Every time you kept hoping when disappointment tried to convince you to quit, something grew. Every time you continued trusting despite confusion, something grew. Every time you got back up after an emotional setback, something grew. The growth may have been invisible, but it was real. My child, there is hidden strength inside you that you rarely acknowledge. Not because you are proud, but because you are so focused on what still needs healing that you overlook how far you have already come. You compare your present self to an impossible standard instead of remembering where you once were. You forget the prayers I have already answered. You forget the storms I have already carried you through. You forget the burdens that once felt impossible but no longer control you the way they used to. You forget that you are not the same person you were a year ago. You are not the same person you were even a few months ago. Growth has been taking place, even during seasons that felt stagnant. My child, when I look at you, I do not begin with your failures. I do not begin with your fears. I do not begin with your regrets. I see someone deeply loved. I see someone worth pursuing. I see someone whose story is still unfolding. I see someone carrying more resilience than they realize. I see someone whose heart, despite its pain, still longs for truth, still longs for hope, still longs for me. And that longing matters more than you know. You have been worried that your struggles define you, but I see beyond them. You have been worried that your mistakes tell the whole story, but I see chapters that have not yet been written. You have been worried that you are too broken to move forward, but I see healing already beginning in places you cannot yet recognize. My child, the difference between my perspective and yours is not that I ignore your pain. I see every part of it. The difference is that I also see what your pain cannot see. I see the strength that survived it. I see the wisdom that emerged from it. I see the compassion it produced. I see the faith that continued breathing beneath the weight of it. And when I look at you, I do not see a forgotten soul struggling to hold everything together. I see a beloved child who has grown far more than they realize and who is becoming stronger with every step. My child, there is one question that has lived quietly inside your heart for a long time. It appears during the long nights. It appears when another prayer seems unanswered. It appears when another door remains closed. It appears when you watch time move forward while the thing you have been hoping for still feels distant. The question is simple, yet heavy. Why am I still waiting? Why has it taken so long? Why does it feel like everyone else is moving ahead while I remain in the same place? I know these questions because I have heard them. I have heard them whispered through disappointment. I have heard them spoken through tears. I have heard them hidden beneath forced smiles and patient words. And today, I want you to understand something that your pain has made difficult to see. Waiting is not the same as being forgotten. Waiting is not evidence of abandonment. Waiting is not proof that nothing is happening. Very often, the most important work happens during seasons when it appears that nothing is changing at all. Think about a seed for a moment, my child. When a seed is placed into the ground, everything about its future is hidden. No one sees the process. No one sees the transformation. No one sees the life beginning to emerge beneath the soil. From the outside, it looks inactive. It looks buried. It looks forgotten. Yet beneath the surface, something remarkable is taking place. The seed is preparing for the life it was created to carry. It is growing in ways invisible to human eyes. It is becoming what it was always meant to become. My child, there have been seasons when you felt exactly like that seed, hidden, buried beneath circumstances you did not choose, surrounded by uncertainty, wondering why progress seemed so slow, wondering why answers did not arrive when you expected them. But what felt like burial was often preparation. What felt like delay was often growth. What felt like silence was often a season where deeper things were being established inside you. Before a tree rises high above the ground, roots must grow deep below it. The roots come first. Always. The roots develop strength long before anyone notices the branches. They create stability before visibility. They prepare the tree for storms it has not yet faced. They allow it to carry blessings it could not otherwise sustain. My child, many times you have prayed for branches while I was strengthening roots. You prayed for immediate change while I was building lasting strength. You prayed for quick answers while I was preparing your heart to carry greater things without being crushed beneath their weight. I know waiting feels uncomfortable. I know it challenges your patience. I know it tests your faith. But waiting seasons are not empty seasons. They are growing seasons. They are forming seasons. They are preparation seasons. Even now, there are lessons you have learned during this waiting period that could not have been learned any other way. You have developed compassion because of your struggles. You have developed resilience because of your disappointments. You have developed wisdom because of your unanswered questions. You have learned to seek deeper things than immediate comfort. You have learned to value peace more than appearances. You have learned that your strength does not come only from circumstances going your way. Growth like that is precious, my child. It cannot be rushed. Every season has a purpose. Spring does not rush summer. Summer does not rush autumn. Autumn does not rush winter. Each season contributes something necessary. Each season prepares the way for the next. In the same way, this season has not been wasted. The waiting has not been meaningless. The process has not been punishment. You may not see the full picture yet, but I do. I see every root that has been growing beneath the surface. I see every hidden victory. I see every quiet step of maturity. I see every moment your character has been strengthened. And I see a future that requires everything I have been developing inside you. So when you look back on this season one day, you will not only remember what you were waiting for, you will also see who you became while you were waiting. And you will understand that what seemed like a delay was often my loving preparation, guiding you through a process that was shaping you into someone stronger, wiser, deeper, and more ready than you ever realized. My child, while you have spent so much time focusing on where you are not yet, there is another question that deserves your attention. Not where are you going, but who are you becoming? Because the deepest transformations rarely happen around you before they happen within you. Long before circumstances change, the heart begins to change. Long before new opportunities arrive, character is formed. Long before visible breakthroughs appear, invisible foundations are strengthened. This is why the process matters more than you realize. You have often measured progress by external results. You look for signs in open doors, changed situations, completed goals, and visible answers. Yet some of the most valuable things being built inside you cannot be measured that way. They do not appear on a calendar. They do not arrive with recognition. They grow quietly through ordinary days, difficult seasons, unexpected setbacks, and moments when you choose to keep moving forward despite uncertainty. My child, wisdom has been growing within you, not the kind that comes from reading information alone, but the kind that comes from walking through real life. There are lessons you understand now that you could not have understood years ago. There are truths that have become part of you because you lived through experiences that taught them. Wisdom often arrives disguised as difficulty. It arrives through questions that force deeper reflection. It arrives through mistakes that teach humility. It arrives through seasons that reveal what truly matters. You may not always recognize it, but your perspective has been changing. You see people differently now. You understand pain differently now. You understand yourself differently now. That is wisdom taking root. Resilience has also been forming within you. There was a time when certain challenges would have completely overwhelmed you. There was a time when certain disappointments would have stopped you in your tracks. Yet here you are. You are still moving. You are still learning. You are still growing. Resilience does not mean life stopped being difficult. It means you develop the ability to continue despite difficulty. It means your spirit learned how to endure storms without losing itself. It means you discovered strength that only reveals itself when circumstances demand it. My child, patience has been developing within you as well. Patience is often misunderstood. Many people think patience means simply waiting. But true patience is deeper than that. It is learning how to remain steady while things are still unfolding. It is learning how to trust the process without demanding immediate results. It is learning how to continue planting seeds even when the harvest is not yet visible. This kind of patience cannot be taught quickly. It grows through practice. It grows through waiting. It grows through surrendering the need to control every outcome. And though the process has not always been comfortable, it has been shaping something valuable inside you. Compassion has been growing too. The struggles you have faced have softened parts of your heart that once might have remained untouched. Because of what you have endured, you notice the pain of others more easily. Because of what you have carried, you understand burdens that cannot always be explained. Because of what you have survived, you are able to offer kindness where judgment once might have appeared. Compassion is one of the most beautiful fruits that emerges from difficult seasons. It transforms pain into understanding. It transforms wounds into gentleness. It transforms hardship into the ability to comfort others who are walking similar roads. My child, you are becoming someone deeper than you realize, someone wiser than before, someone stronger than before, someone more patient than before, someone more compassionate than before. The process has not merely been taking you somewhere, it has been transforming you into someone. And one day, when you look back on this season, you may discover that the greatest gift was not simply what you received at the end of the journey. The greatest gift was who you became while walking through it. Because every challenge, every delay, every lesson, and every season has been quietly shaping a heart that is more mature, more grounded, and more prepared for what lies ahead than you can currently see. My child, after everything you have heard, after all the questions you have carried, after all the seasons you have walked through, you may still be wondering what comes next. Not what will happen next, but what you should do next. The answer is simpler than you think. It is not about striving harder. It is not about becoming perfect overnight. It is not about solving every problem before the sun rises again. It is not about having all the answers. It begins with an invitation, a gentle invitation. An invitation that has been waiting quietly at the door of your heart. An invitation to release what you were never meant to carry alone. There are things you have been holding on to for so long that they have started to feel like part of you. Old disappointments, old fears, old regrets, old wounds. You have carried them from season to season, hoping that if you held onto them tightly enough, you might somehow gain control over them. Yet the tighter you hold them, the heavier they become. My child, some burdens are not meant to be managed. They are meant to be released. Let go of the belief that you must carry everything by yourself. Let go of the belief that your future depends entirely upon your own strength. Let go of the belief that you must constantly prove your worth. Let go of the endless pressure to have everything figured out before taking the next step. You were never designed to live beneath that weight. You were never created to spend your days trapped between fear and control. There is freedom waiting on the other side of surrender. Not surrender as defeat, surrender as trust, surrender as peace. Surrender as the willingness to stop fighting battles that were never yours to win alone, my child. There may also be forgiveness that needs to happen within your heart, not because what happened was acceptable, not because your pain was insignificant, but because carrying resentment keeps you connected to wounds that should no longer define your future. Forgiveness is not pretending something did not hurt. Forgiveness is refusing to let that hurt become the ruler of your life. Some of you have spent years carrying anger toward others. Some have spent years carrying anger toward yourselves. You revisit old mistakes. You replay old failures. You hold yourself hostage to moments that cannot be changed. Yet every time you return to those memories, you reopen burdens that were never meant to stay alive forever. My child, there comes a moment when healing begins with release. Not because the past suddenly disappears, but because you decide it will no longer determine your tomorrow. Trust is part of this invitation as well. Trust when the road ahead is unclear. Trust when the answers are incomplete. Trust when the timing feels different from what you expected. Trust does not require certainty. Trust grows precisely when certainty is unavailable. It grows in the spaces where you continue moving forward despite not seeing the entire path. It grows when you choose hope over fear. It grows when you choose faith over constant worry. It grows when you stop demanding guarantees and begin embracing the journey one step at a time. My child, you do not need to fix your entire life today. You do not need to solve every unanswered question. You do not need to carry the pressure of tomorrow before tomorrow arrives. What you need is a willing heart, a heart willing to release, a heart willing to forgive, a heart willing to surrender control, a heart willing to trust the process that is still unfolding. These decisions may seem small, but they open the door to profound change. Because transformation often begins with a single choice. A choice to loosen your grip on fear. A choice to stop carrying what no longer belongs in your hands. A choice to walk forward with trust rather than anxiety. And as you stand at this moment in your journey, that is the invitation before you. Not a demand, not a burden, not another expectation. Simply an invitation to let go, to forgive, to surrender, and to trust that what is being written ahead of you is greater than the fears that have tried to keep you looking behind. My child, when you have spent a long time looking at what is behind you, it can become difficult to imagine what still lies ahead. The mind naturally focuses on what was lost, what was delayed, what did not happen the way you hoped. But there is something I want you to remember. Your story is not defined by the chapters you have already read. There are still pages ahead that you cannot yet see. There are still moments waiting to unfold that your present understanding cannot fully imagine. This is why hope remains important. Hope is not pretending that life has been easy. Hope is not denying the reality of pain. Hope is the quiet confidence that the future still holds possibilities beyond what your current circumstances suggest. My child, there are seasons when it feels as though everything has stopped moving. The horizon appears unchanged. The same questions remain. The same concerns linger, yet beneath the surface, life continues to develop. Just as dawn begins before the first light becomes visible, new beginnings often start long before they can be recognized. You may not see every step that is taking place. You may not understand every detail of the process, but that does not mean nothing is happening. There are opportunities that have not yet appeared. There are conversations that have not yet happened. There are lessons that are still becoming clear. There are relationships that may bring encouragement. There are moments of unexpected joy that have not yet entered your life. There are doors that may open in ways you never anticipated because they do not look like the doors you have been staring at for so long. My child, sometimes the future arrives differently than expected. You may have imagined one path, while a different path begins to unfold. At first, that can feel disappointing. But many of the most meaningful chapters in life begin through surprises rather than predictions. What matters is not knowing every detail in advance. What matters is remaining open to the possibility that something beautiful can still emerge from places that once seemed empty. Restoration often begins this way, not as a sudden dramatic event, but as a gradual renewal of perspective, strength, purpose, and peace. Little by little, things begin to change. Little by little, confidence returns. Little by little, clarity increases. Little by little, burdens become lighter. Then one day, you look back and realize that a new chapter had already begun long before you noticed it. My child, there is no need to fear the future. You do not have to carry tomorrow's concerns today. You do not have to solve next year's questions this week. The path ahead will reveal itself one step at a time. What I ask of you is simple. Remain open, remain hopeful, remain willing to believe that your life is still capable of growth, meaning, and renewal. Do not allow disappointment to convince you that every chapter will look like the last one. Do not allow old pain to become a prediction for what lies ahead. The future is not merely an extension of your past. New seasons bring new opportunities. New understanding creates new possibilities. New strength leads to new decisions. And new decisions often create paths that once seemed impossible to find. My child, there is more ahead of you than you realize. More growth, more wisdom, more peace, more opportunities to become the person you are meant to be. The road before you is not empty, it is unwritten. And within those unwritten pages rests the possibility of restoration, breakthrough, and a new chapter that your heart has not yet fully imagined. My child, as this moment draws to a close, I do not want you to leave carrying the same weight you brought with you. I do not want you to walk away focused only on your fears, your questions, or the uncertainties that still remain. Instead, I want you to carry something different. Carry the reminder that your journey is not over. Carry the reminder that difficult seasons do not last forever. Carry the reminder that growth is happening even when it cannot yet be measured. Carry the reminder that every step forward matters, even the small ones. You began this journey looking at your burdens. You looked at the exhaustion, the hidden struggles, the doubts, the disappointments, and the waiting. You questioned what was happening. You questioned why certain things took so long. You questioned whether anything meaningful could come from the road you have traveled. But now, my child, I want you to see what has been revealed along the way. You are stronger than you thought. You have endured more than you give yourself credit for. You have grown in ways that are not always visible. You have gained wisdom through experiences that once seemed only painful. You have developed patience through seasons that tested your endurance. You have discovered resilience in moments when you believed you had none left. And you have learned compassion through struggles that deepened your understanding of others. These things matter. They are not small. They are not insignificant. They are treasures formed within you through the process of becoming. My child, do not rush to measure your life only by what has happened around you. Learn to recognize what has happened within you. Learn to notice the strength that has been formed. Learn to notice the perspective that has changed. Learn to notice the courage that continues to rise each time you choose hope over fear. These are signs that the journey has not been wasted. As you move forward, let peace accompany you. Not the kind of peace that depends upon perfect circumstances, but the kind that remains steady even while life is still unfolding. Let your heart rest from carrying tomorrow before it arrives. Let your mind rest from trying to solve every unknown. Let your spirit rest from the pressure of controlling every outcome. There is freedom in taking one step at a time. There is freedom in trusting that growth continues even when progress feels slow. There is freedom in believing that new chapters can emerge from places that once seemed empty. My child, may your thoughts become lighter. May your heart become calmer. May your perspective become clearer. May your weariness be replaced with renewed courage. May your waiting be filled with purpose. May your future be approached with confidence rather than fear. May you remember that every season has meaning, every process has value, and every step forward carries the possibility of something new. And whenever doubt tries to return, remember this simple truth. You are not defined by your hardest season. You are not defined by your deepest struggle. You are not defined by your greatest disappointment. You are defined by the person you are becoming through it all. Walk forward with peace. Walk forward with hope. Walk forward with confidence. The chapter behind you has taught you much. The chapter before you has yet to reveal its beauty. And the best thing you can carry from this moment is this. Your story is still being written, and there is still goodness ahead.